Chairman, I'll start off by echoing the opening statement that Mr. Alford said. We do work here because what happens in small businesses across this country is happening in every district. It's why we come together and talk about these problems, how to make sure our small businesses are thriving. They continue to be the backbone of the American economy. We're talking about Main Street today. In fact, the title of today's hearing is Crime on the Rise, How Lawlessness is Affecting Main Street America. So I want to talk to you about my district in Louisville, Kentucky. On our literal Main Street, in Main Street, downtown Louisville, Kentucky, USA, we have an Old National Bank branch. Old National Bank, a local bank, the local people who work there lend to local businesses. On Monday morning, April 10th of last year, the morning after Easter, our community was rocked when an employee walked in and shot 14 people, killing 5 of them, including a police officer who miraculously survived an AR-15 round to the head. The young man who did this was under psychiatric care, but still 6 days before the shooting, he was able to walk into a store and purchase an AR-15 and all the ammunition he needed in under an hour. See, we're talking about crime, but we can't talk about crime and not talk about guns. Gun deaths and injuries cost Kentucky $9.6 billion each year. Each year, $183.4 million is paid directly by the taxpayers. The Chamber of Commerce says that larceny cost Kentucky $1.5 billion last year. Not great, but it's not 9.6. See, gun violence, it pervades every aspect of our lives. It's unthinkable that we're talking about this with gun violence in schools and small businesses in rural America, in urban America. In 2024, in the U.S., there have already been 1,137 gun violence-related deaths and 7 mass shootings. You guys, we are 11 days into 2024, and there have been 7 mass shootings. Gun violence, we know, is bad for our communities. It's bad for families. It's bad for kids. It's bad for everyone impacted. We know the emotional toll. Today's focus highlights the economic impact. And yes, it's bad for business. But luckily, we can do something about it. We can have an assault weapons ban. We can have waiting periods. We can have extreme risk protection orders or red flag laws. We can actually have background checks, safe storage requirements, magazine limits. These are things we can do in the United States Congress that will help prevent crime and gun violence deaths. Just this past November, 216 of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle voted to prohibit funding for the CDC's firearm injury and mortality prevention research. We can do something, guys. And we must, because it is impacting all of our communities and all of our small businesses. Dr. Roman, I want to ask you, because I understand your research focuses on using data to better fight gun violence. With that vote against the CDC, how does prohibiting funding from critical research agencies that collect gun violence data make the gun violence epidemic better or worse?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. Thank you for asking it, because what we want to do is to make data available to allow policymakers to make the evidence-based, data-driven decisions, including all the other considerations that you have. So, for example, when you talk about trying to keep the hands out of the young man who committed this atrocity in Louisville, if you look at the data that California gets in terms of access to people who have been detained in a mental health facility, that would go into their data systems. The federally licensed firearm dealers would know that this person had been in that system and was not allowed to purchase a weapon. In most states around the country, those data exchanges do not take place. That data is not kept. It is not transmitted. They do not know that this person is prohibited from buying a weapon because the data are insufficient to do that.
Thank you. I see I'm almost out of time, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.